Okay, so through the magic of time-lapse and the ability for me to copy and paste from another file, I have basically gotten some animation into here, right? So it's not all of the animation that I would have, but I'm at the point where I want to test things. I want to see how it looks. All right, now keep in mind, I still have my broken, wrong name for a label because it's a very common problem. I also renamed my guy the dude so that my code would also not match the code that you guys are getting. So I've attached to the email that these links were sent in or have sent to you, or you got it from the K drive, wherever it is. There is a Word document that says all the code. And it'll make more sense actually when it comes into Animate, because in Animate, it's going to kind of color code it, and it's going to format it in a certain way that it's going to look a lot more legible. But before we put that in, there's a couple things we have to look at. One is go back out to your main scene. Make sure that there are no other frames. All right? We don't want extra, we want one frame. Two, go over to your movie clip that is for the dog, the cat, the mouse, the bug, the whatever. Right click and go to properties. And you'll bring up the same thing that came up when you first made this, except for the registration point, which can never be changed ever. But twirl down advanced. This is where we kind of start to make this think a little bit more, right? It's not going to do any of this work unless we tell it. One of the tenets of writing codes and scripts is that they should be efficient. And it is not efficient for this to actually work for action scripting unless we tell it to. So, export for Actionscript, step 1. Step 2, where it says class, get rid of the word the. Step 3, go to the end of your word and add a capital M, capital C. Now, whatever your word is, it actually doesn't matter. You could call it Slaughter Bart Fast, and as long as you spelled it the same way every time, that would work. Simpler words are better. Also, stay away from any words like display, movie clip, flash, play, stop, those kinds of things. It should be something that doesn't sound like it belongs in code. More on that later. So we hit OK, and it's going to tell you this. That's okay. What it's saying is they couldn't find a definition for this class, so they're going to create one. Yes, that's what we want. That's why we did this, and so we say yes. And last but not least, we're going to add a new layer. So this one layer is where our background would probably be eventually. We're not even going to have this character eventually. But we need one for actions. I like to keep the actions on their own layer. Same reason for sound and other things. I just like them separate. They're easier to find in the timeline if you keep them separate. And you're going to go to Window, Actions. And it's probably going to show up real small. That's the default. So just like go down to the bottom corner and drag it out because it's going to be a lot of code that you're putting in. And go to the Word document and I was hoping I could see all the pages at once. And scroll all the way down. There are, at least on my computer, 4 pages of text. You can copy that. Just regular copy. Control-C. And you're going to right click in your actions window in this big giant box right here and say paste. And ideally, if you've got everything, it should be the last line of code is at 211 and then it shows you line 212 because it always shows you like the next line. And it should look like this. You'll see the blue and purple. If we scroll up, there's green, there's black, there's gray. This is telling us what we're looking at. Right? We're going to go over more of this later. We got to change a few things. But that's how, like I said before, it's going to be a little bit more legible when it comes in here. So, what to do with this? Well, right now it's not going to work because this was written for a guy named Alien. And statistically, your character is not named that. So, how to change it? Well, there's a little magnifying glass, which if we click on it, it says Find. And if we click on the word Find, we can choose Find and Replace. And you have to be specific, but don't write the alien. Just write alien. Spelling it correctly would help. And then just write the word that you gave your character name. Not the word, not word MC, just that word. And the reason I'm specifying that is because you can just look at the top part. There's a place where it says new alien, a place where it says alien MC, new alien MC, the alien, da 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 da. There's a lot of different places this particular variable, the word alien, is used. It's used in different ways for different reasons. We don't want to have to go through and replace all of the aliens and all of the alien MCs, and that's too many different things to go through. It's too much of a risk that you're going to miss something. So just take the word alien and replace it with the word, whatever your word is, and say replace all. And I should go through the whole thing, and you can see it all change. All right, and we're going to see if this is going to work. It's not. I broke it. All right, so we just do control test. And a couple things happen. One is that I can press the arrow buttons all I want, nothing happens. Two, you'll see two of them. That's okay, we'll fix that. And three, you'll see that one of them is just sort of playing through. That's okay. We'll fix that. And also, when I close that window, you'll see that it came up with an error. Argument error, something, something. Frame label, wave end, not found in the scene. Wave end. What it's saying is, it can't find this label. Well, it just so happens that's the one I spelled wrong. And it tells you here where it's looking. It's looking in the main timeline of the dude. It says new dude because that's what they call it in this. But it's looking for it in that movie clip. So if it can't find it, then I go into the movie clip. And I go to my timeline. And I go to where it should say wave end. And lo and behold, I did not capitalize the E. So there's that. Also, you might see something similar to this if you ended up with multiple movie clips. This happens sometimes when people are working. They kind of like get one that is the actual character and then another one that's got the name of the actual character. And so the frame labels are not in the right spot. So look to what it says here. If it's looking in something that says new dude and your character exists in something that says symbol number 1, that's why you're having trouble. So that's another thing to look out for. But when I go to test this again, I hit Control Enter. And now one of them is working and the other is not. Up, down, I'm sorry, not up, down. Left, right, and up are moving and jumping. And then A and Z are the other two buttons. But what is going on? What is going on is that the code is telling the game to spawn a new character from your library. That's why this little dude MC is here. Which means, whoops, there we go, that this one here is superfluous. Goodbye. Don't worry, your character is still in your library. If I hit Control Enter, now I just get one character, and he should mostly sort of behave the way I want him to. The hit. So the hit is meant to be something where you press a button once and it does a thing. And the wave is not working. Well, that's good to know. Let's maybe find out why. If I go to the dude here and I look at the wave, well, that looks correct. That also looks correct. It might be, I'll bet it's this. There's a couple potential reasons it could be. I might have to turn this video off and figure it out later. But, whoops, sorry about that. One of the reasons I have these little words in here is so that I can tell what's going on and fix it, potentially. On this one, where it does work, it should do this and cycle through. And it might be, I think I half know what's going on. Alright, so that's how you would get it set up and test to see if it's working. And once you do that, you can start to make changes. So we're going to take another look at that code, which is under this. And if you open up the actions window and you don't see your code, go over here to select the actual frame it's on and you'll see it. Basically, you can put different Actionscript in different places. So first thing we're going to change. Variable ground position equals 400. saw my character was like really high in the screen, and that's because 400 is not a big enough number given how large this screen is. So I'm going to turn that to 800, and we'll see how it goes. I just click on the background and hit Control Enter again. Up too high a number. So that first line of code is setting up the ground position. Perfect. That's where I want it. And remember, 0 for Y is at the top, and the higher the numbers, the lower he goes. So keep that in mind. So that's the first thing you can set. Line number 11. That's how you can set where it shows up XY. So 500 is a certain distance out. The higher the number, the further to the right he goes. Now this whole top section, I've got this gray stuff right here. It's called comments. It kind of tells you what you're looking for or looking at. So this is the section that defines where to put the play marker, where to play in the timeline. So it's saying if you're gonna when jumping is finished, meaning you're done pressing the button, then if the dude is running, go to and play the run stuff. Else, meaning if not running, go to and play still. So when you're using this character, when the jump is over, if you're not pressing a run button, it should play the still animation. If, however, you are pressing a run button, it should continue the run animation. So that's how you would read this. It's told to loop the still action, loop the run action. Haha, I know why the wave isn't working. This code is slightly older and it's using the wrong keys. That's why. Instead of using A and Z, it's using A and L. Well, what an opportunity! We can fix this. So this section here in the 70s and 80s deals with keyboard. And the keyboard is you have to tell it exactly what to listen to. Computers are dumb. Assume computers are dumb. And you have to tell it to, when you press the left button, to look for that, and also to look for when you let go of the left button. There's both and you can see how they're written: keyboard.left, keyboard.right, and there's key pressed actions and key released actions. So you can come up here, say, instead of keyboard L, keyboard Z. And I can do that for both of them. Oh, I did that backwards. There we go. One more time. There it is. Oh, they gotta be capitalized. It's very picky. There, perfect. Now when I run it, it should... There's the wave. It's not looping yet. We'll do that later. All right. So there's your actions. This part right here in the early hundredsies, this is like this is the heavy lifting. This is defining the functions. So if you have a function and you made up a name for it, you called it move left, you have to tell it what to do. Because everything up here is saying if move left, if move right, if this, if that. Well, a lot goes into that definition, right? It doesn't know what move left means. You have to tell it that the player.x, meaning that character, his x position, is minus equals 5. Minus equals is a way of saying make less and less and less and less by 5. Just like moving to the right is plus equals 5, so make more and more and more by 5. So if I want it to move faster, I'm going to go crazy here and turn it way up. You can make it way faster by turning it up to 30. And look at him go! Everyone's going to have a different number for this, hopefully, because all of your characters are going to have different speeds, right? Your animation, your character, the style, the way they work, it's all going to be different. So you'll want them to be at different speeds. My guy's slow. He just kind of waddles around. That's what happens when you don't have arms for balance. Okay. Move left, move right. That's the speed. And also, in here we kind of define a little bit of the jumping. So if while they're running, someone presses the jump button, then you must go to and jump, and then when jump is over, you go to and play run. There's a whole lot of this if exclamation point kind of says a lot in one tiny space. But then there's part down here. Player.scale x equals 1. My character is facing to the left. Therefore, that's how he should look when he's facing to the left. His scale is 1. If he needs to face to the right, you'll see that he does this. That's just rescaling it to be scaled to -1. If your character, however, was drawn facing to the right, which some people always is, your character will move backwards. So what you'll need to do is, under moving left, you'll have to say the scale is -1, and under moving right, you'll have to say the scale is 1. If you do that, well, now mine moves backwards, but yours will move forwards. All right? So the scale under these two things is what you're going to be changing. And last but not least, the jump. So right now it's set to -50. That's an okay jump. This is how far you're turning off the gravity. It's basically like having a gravitational plate above their head that pulls them up in the air, and also kind of turns off the other gravity. So if I say 100, you can see how far he jumps. But his fall is kind of meh. There's a number all the way at the bottom. Gravity plus equals 5. Remember, that's a way of saying increase the thing gradually. If I turn that to 25, see? Now the gravity turns back on so fast he doesn't even jump off the ground. This number I have found to be particularly sensitive. Let's try that, 12. So how much you want your character to jump and how much you want them to fly up, these two numbers are related. You have to tinker with both. Come on. I think there's also... And then there's the initial gravity in the first place. So the initial gravity that exists can also be changed, which, again, now he's jumping a little higher. All of these numbers work together. So you're going to have to figure out how high you want them to jump and how fast you want them to come back down. Everyone's character is going to be a little bit different. All right, now I think that is it. Yeah, this stuff at the bottom is kind of telling it how to basically play on one frame. And what to do about the ground position and a little bit more about jumping and gravity and things like that. It's the part I expect you to understand the least well because it's the most technical, but it is still necessary. All right, so those are the things that you may end up changing. You may not change all of them. I doubt anyone will change none of them because there's always going to be something different about your character than mine. But that should get you started in getting everything set up. You can see how it looks. And then when we're in class, we can review things and troubleshoot things.